All right.
Hey, what's up, Toby? We made another week.
Hey, buddy. How are you?
That's another week of the Process Tech podcast.
Indeed. We're back again.
I know.
We're back.
Today's topic, we're going to be talking about news.
Oh, good.
Like, we're going to stay away from the news of the day because we might end up in a spiral into a long depression. But what I want to talk about today is when we were growing up, when did you get your news?
Yeah, it was in the evenings, right?
Yeah.
About the time Dad got home, the news got kicked on.
Yeah. You got
Chicken
it
or egg. You're right. 5 or 6, probably.
5 or 6, and then you got it again at 10. Right?
That's right. Yeah.
And then you got it in the morning in a paper form.
That's right. Yeah. Physical newspapers, print, it hit your doorstep.
Correct. Then CNN happened, right? Now, whether you like CNN doesn't really matter, but when you had to fill your time with 24 hours, a 24-hour program with news changed.
Yeah. Because the velocity of news.
Yeah.
You make a really good point. In the 70s, how much was newsworthy, versus the 80s as CNN started to, and now today we have social media that's fanning flames of all kinds of stuff. And the caliber of the news seems to have shifted, doesn't it?
It's more salacious, right? And so you get away from local news, right? Because there's a lot more crazy on the greater out there, right? When you pick the greater out there, whether it's the entire U.S. or the entire world, you will end up finding some crazy, and that is attracted, right? So anyway, how does that have to do with process debt? The corollary that I want to talk about is I think a similar thing has happened with BI reporting or dashboarding or solutions in that way, right? So if you think about prior to spreadsheets, prior to the database, right, you had basically financial statements. Those are boring as all get out.
Right.
And you didn't have something that was dynamic and changed right now, today.
Yeah.
And so I think the topic that I want to noodle on today is that process, that piece in which we have greater visibility, but possibly less value from a output to the client.
Yeah. Yeah. In a world of abundant data, right? It feels like we have less information.
No.
I think you're spot on. When it used to mean that you had to send out a field of reporters each day around the communities, around the county to find out what was going on, or to be making phone calls to get updates, it looked really different than, the new mobile apps that report on who's complaining in what neighborhood next door, or the amount of time, to your point about financial reporting.
Yeah.
It took several days to close the books at the end of the month, but then just to have those numbers typed up on a page, it's an effort, right?
For sure.
And now we can see in almost real time what our deal flow looks like and our win-loss ratios and our funnels are.
Yeah.
As cash is hitting accounts on an almost second-by-second basis.
Yeah.
It's a lot of data, but are we any better off?
Well, the interesting thing is, you know what clients don't care about? Your internal reporting dashboards.
Funny like that, huh? Chris, you want to know my blood pressure? Yeah. No, not really.
Don't care.
How does that affect me? Not at all. I know.
But we really have shifted to this idea that more is better. And the reality is better is always better. More might be better, more might be worse, but better is always better.
Yeah. Yeah. Our ability to curate has, that as a skill set, that's become increasingly important. It used to be scarcity.
Yeah.
And so you didn't, the idea that you might take 2 or 3 newspapers on a morning was very much the exception than the rule. And today we can curate content from any variety of sources.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. But I remember a neighbor that had both the local paper and Wall Street Journal on weekdays. And then they also took New York Times on Sundays. And
Oh,
oh my,
yeah.
oh my, aren't
Yeah.
you well informed and worldly, And yet today that's kind of the de facto
Yeah.
that's available. But I couldn't tell you the last time I sat down to watch the evening news.
Yeah. No, it's
Or
interesting. Like you lose that ritual of that's your way to kind of decompress from the day,
ugh,
right?
yeah,
And it's not that addictive algorithm that's getting you to be stuck in it.
yeah,
So
it's
let pull this back to like work. Like what is lost in this like this unsatiable appetite that we have for reporting?
no, I think it's fascinating. The parallel to the home analogy of the 5 o'clock news is the monthly performance reporting,
Yeah.
where you pull a group of executives
Yep.
into a room. Yeah,
It's interesting because like we do a lot of, we do a lot of reporting on implementations, right? And
yeah,
almost everybody wants full visibility of the way that the world works, the way that the world is right now,
hmm,
without an understanding of the effort that it will take to get people to do data entry to share with what the world is right now.
yeah,
And so in lieu of this CYA from a management perspective, sometimes we add this administrative overhead that provides this false sense of security based on
absolutely.
people filling out a report, not really even know why they're filling out a report.
Yeah. The two examples for listeners that may not be so familiar, the ones that Chris and I most often run into, seems to be what is going on in the sales funnel.
Yep.
And then so that's the front wheel of our business bicycle. And then the back wheel is who did we serve and how many hours did we serve? What's our delivery effectiveness against the services
Yeah.
we've committed to sell?
Yeah.
And both of those require very real, structured, committed habits of
Yeah.
data capture, right? Everybody wants to see the macro trends and to be able to see what's going on, but it's an enormous lift.
Yeah.
Um,
The thing that strikes me is that most times, and I've seen this a lot in my career,
yeah,
the reporting and the reporting requirements are there to serve the management, but not necessarily people doing the work.
yeah,
So what happens, and I think I've seen the shift in my career where
sure,
you have more labor that you could allocate towards doing a better job of taking care of the client. But instead, you're taking that resource and you're having them spend time to update a thing so that there can be a layer of confidence at the management level and above.
me. So for the sake of argument, if we have 5 analytic resources in an organization,
Yeah.
generally speaking, it seems that 3 or even 4 of those analytical resources are working for internal dialogue as opposed to working on external transactions.
Yeah. And I mean, I think obviously you have to work on the business.
Yeah.
But the real question is this internal work of value, right? And where this shows up for me all the time is that, obviously if you think of our starting point, generally we're someone's migrating from something to another to us, using us as
Yeah.
a implementer.
Yeah.
And they want some sort of report to solve the problem that they're dealing in their old system. And
Mhm.
the number one requirement that we get most of the time is really around how do we report, how do we notify, how do we signal to the people when something happens in a tool that I don't understand how it even works. And it's this really weird dichotomy that people just run past, thinking that they know what the tool should do before they actually know what the tool does.
Chris, even as you were saying that, what it made me think about, I was trying to schedule, at a certain age, we have different medical things we start doing. And, you're sitting in a dark room with your eyes dilated. I had my annual checkup earlier this, but I'm sure that this probably resembles your experience. We've gotten to this place today where technology allows us to do a multitude of things. But before I can talk to a human, 90% of my phone calls to organizations that only exist to provide services to you and I, it takes me at least 45 seconds to get through their gibberish menus. And so we've taken the capabilities of technology, and if we're not spreading fear and rumor mongering, it feels like we're creating more distance between us and the people we're trying to serve, whether it's customers or it's our internal management staff. And so accessing information or accessing experts it's gotten a lot more difficult. And it's also difficult to know what the best mechanism is. I'll be calling on the phone because their website says call for an appointment. This was my experience earlier today. And then on the phone, before I can talk to anybody, it keeps telling me to go back to the website to try to schedule an appointment. And so even their internal, it's not even internally consistent. And so
it would
before we get to the content, right?
That's so funny because I'm thinking about how I just got a medical bill, right? And in the little description at the bottom, it said our online payment portal isn't working. And I'm like, who doesn't have an online portal? And why in the world would you not ever have that work? Why would that ever be an option? It made zero sense to me. And it was some product manager was like, we'll just take it down, bro. You're like, oh my gosh, leave it up, just redirect. This is
totally.
It's almost like when Microsoft or someone forgets to pay a $20 cert or whatever the
like the SSL cert or something.
Microsoft went down today because they someone's credit card got declined for $20 and the whole thing went down. You're like, oh my gosh, don't do that. Stop.
Rash. Yeah, it is interesting. I like this. We've lost some of the simplicity. I think. Just in our own careers, you and I both, came up in the last century. Entered adulthood technically in the last century, and so our careers have been enormously influenced by the increased globalization. It's not just that products are made and shipped from overseas, but the entire workforces that we interact with live on other continents, and that our customers that we're interacting with might be on other continents. And so it is this strange idea where a lot of the predictable cadence of our daily lives, it just kept accelerating. And now it's a little bit unclear. The news cycle, all of the hype cycle there, it's play-by-play craziness of politicians on a global basis, such that we get lost in the minutia of some of the really big motions that are taking place. But similarly, the whole note that recently came out about Anthropic finding 0-day defects and some of the conversations coming up around that and what the implications are for security guys. Like, oh my God, it's information you can't do anything with. So I don't think it's actually news or if that's hype. I can't tell the difference sometimes.
You called it out. I think when the news cycle went from at 5, at 10 and the morning paper, when it switched to a 24-hour cycle, it used to become news and it became entertainment because they had to get eyeballs on the TV so that they could get paid, right? And I think the corollary on the business side is when we became so enamored with reporting, and I don't want to bash reporting. I mean, I love a good report like everyone else. But what happened is when we became enamored with reporting, work became more political. And so it became more about the story around the report. And I've had a friend, a really strong, we actually should have him on our, we'll invite him on, but his name's David. And he created these really awesome reports. And he was just telling me stories about how like he shared them with two different people. Yeah. Like two completely different opposing stories based on the same.
Oh, wow.
And you're like, yeah, like you lose when you forget the customer and you're focused more on the internal storytelling, you end up with more politics and work. And who wants that? I don't.
Truly. I mean, if we were to make it a super personal example that everybody can relate to, if you're trying to lose 10 pounds, the broad brushstrokes are eat less, move more, and then maybe eat healthier and then move with intention, right? I mean, but the dynamics, the basic math of it is pretty thin.
Yeah.
But you can also spend endless hours weighing out each and everything that you put into the dishes you cook.
Yep.
And you can, watch your wrist monitor for every calorie that you burn or every step that you take. And so I don't know that, I ebb and flow with tracking steps. And when I look at it on a weekly basis, I'm usually not surprised.
Yeah.
I know that I've had an active week or not.
Yep.
But when I'm focused on it, when I get sucked into it, right? When I'm perseverating on gotta get my 10,000 steps, then I'm looking at it a dozen times a day.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm so fixated on a small thing. And sometimes those little habits are really powerful, right? Helps us sharpen our focus and we are what we measure. I start to see very real results. But by the same token, with that ability to like let it shift into the background a little bit and then renew our perspectives, takes a lot more intention because it is a big dopamine hit to see how the numbers tick second by second.
The scale is such a good example because it is, first of all, it should always, like if you get enough precision on a scale, it will always be changing, right? Because every breath that you breathe, you're breathing out a little bit of water vapor. And so if you get the right amount of precision, it is going to always be changing. And you know what? It doesn't really matter. And we can't figure it out. And we can't go against the law of thermodynamics. Like you just can't. And it doesn't matter how much you want to basically look at those kind of the post data to what happened, right? What do they call that? Why is that word escaping me? There's the pre and the post.
Oh, the retrospective.
Yeah. So you can drive activity, which is eating better and moving.
Yeah.
Or you can just fixate on something that happened after the fact.
Yep.
And, I think that's the key, right? So reports become these shiny objects where I have to have it today. And you're like, maybe you don't.
Yeah. I think the notion of whether it's the news cycle or even the internal reporting, I think that what we adopt as an ongoing habit versus what's an experiment is something we can all probably would be well served to take a minute and revisit, right? Yeah. Because it does. There's only so many hours in a day, and we have real meaningful obligations we want to fulfill, but we also have a million little things trying to trade us a dopamine hit for our attention.
For sure. So, I think the takeaway is if you have a report and you're looking at it every hour, it don't matter. Unless your website is down or there is some major problem going out, you probably can just look at it twice a day. And that's probably good.
It's a really interesting point. High performance events, how are we tracking in a, Indy 500 race?
Yeah.
That reporting up to the second reporting is probably valuable.
Yeah.
We're sending a spaceship into outer space, watching our dashboards, probably super valuable. Very few things have that kind of velocity of data.
18-month project.
Yeah.
Probably if you report daily.
It's interesting. It's an interesting thought. And I think being aware of some of the societal changes.
Yeah.
And just easily we take those patterns and apply it to other parts of our life. I think appreciate you calling it out today.
Yeah. Cool, man. Catch you next week.
Sounds good. See you soon.
Yeah.